Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world today, hope that all is pleasant for you. Hope that you're doing great. And most importantly, my friends, hope that you are in good health. Once again, my friends, welcome to the Common Sense channel. On this channel, we get to talk about those things that people know, that people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss. These, my friends, are the things we discuss here on the Common Sense channel. So, once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. I want to say a happy holiday / Ancestors Day to all those people that watch my videos, to those that are subscribed to my channel, and to those that will watch my videos in the near future. I want to say a happy holiday, a happy Ancestors Day to you and your loved ones. That being said, welcome to the Common Sense channel. Today, I just want to focus on what's happening around the world. And I want to talk to you from a different lens, just looking at everything being everything, and looking at the recent current event that's taking place in Africa. I've known on numerous times I've come on my channel and I talk about Africa. But when I talk of Africa, I talk of Africa as in the crossroad. What is a crossroad? A crossroad, because a lot of people hear this phrase, a country is in a crossroad or an individual is in a crossroad. A crossroad is a point in your life or in your history or in your existence as a people, as a community, as a society, as a nation, where you're supposed to make decision. And the decision that you're supposed to make will either, or you're supposed to take or embark on, are those decisions that will either make or break you. That's what a crossroad is. And my friends, Africa is at a crossroad. I often say, and this is who I am, I never allow anyone, I mean absolutely anyone, to come into my home and tell me what to do. That's the last place I think you want to try to come into. This is a manly thing. And it's across all culture. Don't matter what culture you're from. Men do not allow another man to come into their home and tell them how to run their affairs, and tell them how to take care of their wives, their kids, their family, their dogs, their whatever is it that's in the house. There's something about your house that you must protect, that you must guide, and that you must strengthen. Today, when we see Africa, we see a continent full of people, excellent people, strong people, people who have been tied down for too long. I'm not talking about the old folks. The old folks in my local language, we call them Rotimbele. They are drunk on power. And because they are drunk on power, I'm talking about the old folks that are the elite. Not talking about the old people that are suffering. that are catching hell. You understand? Because they like to say hell. Hell doesn't exist. But hell does exist on this planet. And the hell that exists on this planet is the direct design of human beings. And that's what we're trying to tell you. I'm not talking about those old folks that are catching hell in Africa as the result of this rotten belly. This elite, African elite, and they are old. And guess what? They don't want to relinquish power. They don't want to do nothing for the African people. They don't want to help them. All they want to do, my friends, they'll just talk and smokes, no fire, no action. And the people, the young people, the elegant young people, the fast-thinking young people, just like their ancestors were. Because all these old people you see now, they used to be like the youth in Africa. But they got bought off. They got touched somehow. But I think whatever had happened to them is mental too. But you know, here's the thing. There's something called history. History has always proven to be right. Even the evil people knows that. At the end of the day, someone is going to win. And it's always the people that are on the right side of history. They always win. So all these old elites that have the dynasty in Africa, that are being used by outside influence, don't matter if it's colonialism or neocolonialism or from China or from, because when we say neocolonialism and colonialism, we often associate these with Europe. But you have the Chinese, you have the Russians, they too have their own influence. You understand? The only thing that I've often say, even on my channel, is our continent, my friends, all of you that are there, it's not your battlefield. You're not going to fight another war over there. But on the other light, I can't blame you. I would never sit on my channel and talk down on people who are only looking for opportunity. And if you, just like your house, you know, no one is going to come to my house if I don't allow them in. Yeah, that's the truth. If I don't allow them to exploit me, if I don't allow them to exploit my wife, if my wife is complaining all the time to me, honey, you need to do me right, and I'm not listening to it, someone is going to come into my home and do it right. Now I've already introduced someone. So if she's saying something, I must listen. And that's what's happening to Africa. The African youth and those people who want to charter, who want to move into a new direction. And this is their God-given right too. Every generation must charter, must path a new direction. That's what history has shown. So it's not just them yearning for this change or for these changes. It's embedded in them. It's nature that says if you don't change, you will be extinct. If you don't change, you will be wiped away. If you don't change, you will perish. It's nature itself that are appealing to these youth. And when they take to the street to demand for change, you go out there with your might and power. You can only bully the people. These Rottimbele, so-called elite. And these are the same folk that sit there and blame the white man. I would say the white man. Now we're going to add the Chinese to it too. We're going to add the Russians to it too. We're going to add all these other people that you blame, when all you can do is blame yourself. No one ever told you this because you live in a different paradise. You live in a full paradise. You understand? And me, personally, would never sit here and take on someone's narrative. No, someone's narrative is their narrative. I'm not going to come on my channel and parade anyone's narrative on my channel. It's not going to happen. Because I run this thing. I run my channel. I know what to say on my channel. And it's mine. You understand? The platform may not be mine. You understand? But whatever happens on my channel, I have a saying in it. And I will not peddle your narrative on my channel. You understand? No one again comes into your house without your permission. No one comes into your house and run your home without you allowing them. And if you do allow them, you are weak. You stand on no integrity. You are less than the dirt of the earth. And that's what these African leaders are. You understand? Most of them, they can talk blah, blah, blah all they want. Remember when that Kenyan president came out, Ruto? Remember all that nonsense he was talking about colonialism and this and that, how he's a Pan-Africanist? He was a blabbing and fooling the people. And for some reason, sometimes I look at the Africans, I can see how these bozos became president. You understand? Because they have no integrity. They're shameless. They have no, they're just there. Every now and then they blame somebody. Just imagine, you run your home. You're right across the street from another person that has their own home. They come, they clean their yard real nice. They're taking care of business real nice. Running their family without no issue. They're not complaining to you. They're just doing their things independently. And you see that. All you need to do is get your butt up and do the same thing that they're doing or do better. No, your hands are not tied behind your back like your ancestors were. You are not in that situation like your ancestors. So you cannot complain, especially now. All you need to do is muster strength. That's what a real man does. A real man don't cry. A real man think. And a real man act. And a real man do what he got to do. Because it is what it is. Life is what it is. But if you're living in a planet or in a paradise where you think all of your problem is the direct result of a superficial or superstitious entity somewhere that's holding you back, it's hard for you to see the reality. And that's why on the Common Sense channel, I kind of point out these things. You understand? Point out these realities. Until you start to see that you are the problem, you will never be able to solve that problem. In fact, others are going to be telling you these are your problems and you wouldn't even see it because you haven't come to that realization that you are the problem. So that being said, I'd like to give a little background before I go into my real talk. You know, I've started reaching out to the ancestors for a year now. And each time I come on my channel, every month, I would ask for awakening, for knowledge, for understanding of the African self. Why do I do that? I do that because I know I can be whatever I want to be in this country or in any part of the world. I can be a lawyer, I can be a doctor, I can be a scientist, I can be a researcher, I can be an engineer, I can be whatever I want to be. But if the continent that I'm from, just like other people are from Europe, when you talk of Europe, what do you think of? Innovation. You think of technology. You think of nice buildings, skyscrapers. When you think of the Western countries, that's what you think of. You don't think about instability. You don't think about daily shooting on the streets, because that's not the narrative out there. You don't think about a huge percentage of the population living in poverty. You don't think about prostitution. You don't think about human degradation. You don't think about disease. You don't think about none of these things, because that's not the narrative that's presented to you. All you think about is this pleasantry, all these great things that the human spirit has been able to engineer. That's what you think of when you think of Western countries. Now we are saying that Africans should think like that. That the continent should start to, that the world should start to see the continent like that. But how would the world sees the continent of Africa like that, when the African leaders, the so-called fake rotten belly, are not seeing themselves and the continent like that? We, on the other hand, for those of us that live in the diaspora, that's what we see. We see the ills of the continent. And if you ask me, honestly, I'm not an emotional person, but if you ask me, sometimes I don't feel good. And moreover, and which is what these boneless leaders don't understand. They say, oh, Pan-Africanist Congress, and let's reach out to people in Trinidad. Let's reach out to the Jamaicans. Let's reach out to the blacks in America, Black American. Let's tell them to come to Africa, because Africa belongs to them. And that's how they talk. But the reality doesn't stick. The reality is they're weak. The continent is extremely weak. Now you want all these people to come to Africa. You want them to belong to Africa. But this individual you're speaking to, the diasporans, places like North America, South America, the Caribbean, these are not stupid people. They're highly intelligent. When they look at all the continents on the planet, the only one that's behind, and this is what saddened me, that these leaders are not able to see this. Whatever they're doing in Africa is chicken. It's chicken, it's joke. I see sometimes some colonialists, neo-colonialists, when their belly is full, they put out videos. The 50 richest African country. The 50 richest African. This is all BS. You understand? It's chicken change. Africa can do better than that. The 20th most developed countries in Africa. They're not saying the continent, but they're promoting that to you so you can see that Africa is better. But when you're underground, ask all the diasporans, people from Trinidad, people from Bahamas, people from the Caribbeans, I would say in general, Caribbean in general, people from this country, when they go to Africa, maybe on their second visit, they see the reality. And all they can see is poverty. It's poverty beyond their imagination. And most of these people don't, Native Africans, don't ever think they're not inclined. They know you better, because before they even travel to your country, they have to study the landscape of your country. Some of them go beyond that. You understand? So when they go, they see the contrary. It don't make them feel good. I mean, I'm talking about the true diasporans that have discovered themselves, because not all diasporans think that they're from Africa. I keep making this case, but I understand the reason why. But why would you want to associate yourself with a dying continent of old people? They are suppressing the young people from meeting their dreams and their aspirations. Some of these people, they pick up their smartphones and they go on social medias and they see how other people are living. The reason why I just saw recently Nepal of all places, Nepal of all places. These are the people that whenever they see you, they fold their hand like monks. They're so pious and holy. But I saw the youth of this country took to the street and grabbed their, I think the prime minister's wife. Man, they rubbished that lady. And you see, that sent a message to the elite. Because if you don't know, the elites of these countries, especially in Africa, that's why they put all of the power in the military and the police. If you notice, whenever there are coups in these countries between the military and the police, always, they pump enough money into these people. Why? To protect them. And they'll come out and stand out to the whole world. And they'll pretend a democracy to you. So if I always pray on my channel, I'm not praying for the young people, the old people. Sorry, I'm not praying for the old people. Especially this one now. They've let down their ancestors. They're toasted. They're gone. They're of the past. Every organization, every institution that they have laid their hands on, they've destroyed. That's the reason why our president, Mr. Trump, called them out. Now I'm talking about Mr. Trump. I learned recently that he was in Nigeria, even though I did a video talking to him. You know, all of these individuals, when they come to power, sometimes they forget that the people, they're the ones that put you there. You're not a dictator or anything like that. Donald Trump is not a dictator. America, if you look at the Constitution of this country, it would never support a dictatorship. Maybe not in theory. But you have to remember your humble beginning. We saw you, Mr. Trump, when these people were parading you across this country. We saw your mug shots. We saw that. And a lot of Americans saw that something was happening that was different than all the other previous presidents. The American people saw that. And they saw that this cannot be happening to this country, to the history of this country. And that's why I hope and I will see this. I am anticipating to see how history will write your history, how history would define Mr. Trump. And this whole thing you're doing, it's about your legacy. You always think about that. And everything you're doing, Mr. Trump, remember you have your children behind you. They are the ones that are going to carry your name. So you have to do right by your people. You have to do right by this country. Stay out of people's business. Stay out of Africa. Africa. The leaders in there are not ready for change. Let me tell you, even if you launch a strike in Nigeria, that's not going to end nothing. There's always going to be killing. Religious war will never end. No one can end religious war. The only thing that can end religious war is a firm and solid constitution that draws a line. And that has to be done directly. It has to be done with a compromise, just like in this country. They drew a line, it says in the Constitution. You understand? And they enforce that too. They don't just say it in the Constitution that there's separation of church and state. They sometimes enforces that. In these African countries, they don't do that. Because the people, the leadership of this country are themselves religious. Take, for instance, Nigeria. The population of Muslims in Nigeria more than the population of Christians in Nigeria. This is what colonialism did to the African continent. And Nigeria is not exempted from that. So anything you do over there, Mr. President, it's like putting the fire on the, adding more flame to the fire. Now what you've done, even if they let you in, just like I said initially, that when you allow someone into your house, you can't blame them later on. So I'm not going to sit on my channel and say, the president is to be blamed. No, I can't blame you. Because the idiot let you in. Let me tell you, see, Nigeria is a member of ECOWAS. And I don't know much about the bylaws or the constitution of ECOWAS or their charter, because I don't care, because I think they're useless. I think they're outdated, and I think it's time for them to just move away. So a new thinking process, a new philosophy, a new idea can come and replace them. And we're already seeing that fold. And it's almost coming out. And it's rising out of the bosom of the ancestors to become relevant. But you see, ECOWAS, they can handle that affairs. Nigeria can handle that. If ECOWAS is true to their founding charter, or ECOMOG, because ECOWAS, ECOMOG, they're all in there, they can put together troops. And let me tell you, in a month's time, I know they can handle that. They can clear that whole place of bad people. Because me personally, I don't like to use the word terrorism. I don't like to use it. I think it's a bad connotation. I think people who want to brandish you as evil, so everyone can look at you evil, they put that word on you, terrorist. If you look at Haiti, they don't call those guys in Haiti that are fighting for their rights and their freedom, they don't call them terrorists, they call them gangs. That's the narrative. But guess what? You know the Dalai Lama, right? They once called him a terrorist too. Nelson Mandela, the one they said, oh, he was a good man. They once called him a terrorist. Even Martin Luther King. Anyone that don't agree with these people, they call you a terrorist. So don't use that word. These people, Mr. President, have been fighting religious war for a long time. If you look at the Nigerian Civil War, the Biafran War, it's a terrible war. Again, these same folks were involved too. It was the power against power. You see how history is real? You see how history kind of connects itself? Whatever happened in the 60s in Nigeria, it's happening again because the problem of Nigeria unification was never solved. It was never solved. And now that same old wounds is coming back again. So, Mr. President, stay out of Nigeria. Now, you've waken up a new situation now that wasn't even there. You cannot say, my Christian. You don't own no Christian in Nigeria. You know, I wait for the day when you can announce to the world that you're a Christian. That's what we're waiting for. You don't force that stuff on anyone in this country. Why is it you want to go? Because you're listening to these people. These people, especially, you know them. These are the ones brainwashing the people. All I want, if these people truly love Christians in Nigeria, here's what they need to do. All these mega churches that are rich in this country, they need to open factories in Nigeria. They need to do things, even if they don't care about the Muslims. But all the Christians, the richer ones, the one with billions of dollars in this country, go to Nigeria, next to your church, build big factories for them. So guess what? Once their lifestyle or the living conditions start to improve in Nigeria. You get it? I don't, like on my channel, I like to give solution, not just problem all the time. Open factories for these people. So when they pray Sunday, they go to work. They make living and they're doing well. Then they'll come and give you back that money. But guess what? It's the opposite. That's what we're saying here. Now, when you do that, Mr. Trump, you're just flaming another situation. Look, Nigeria problem was not solved during their civil war. It wasn't solved. It wasn't. And that same old wound is peeling open again when you do that. There's always been religious war. You have two religious bodies in Nigeria. One is, I think, the population of Muslims in Nigeria, I think it's 55%, or maybe 50%. And then 45 of them are Christians. Imagine if that ever turned to a civil war again. What I would do? You won't be able to help them. If they say they're going to fight for asylum, Mr. President, because someone is pursuing Muslims or pursuing them, will you be able to resettle them in America? You've already sent a bunch of them back. I just think, Mr. Trump, the American people voted for you just to focus on America. Even let's say, for example, you drop a bomb in Nigeria, you kill all the terrorists, the ones you call terrorists. They all die. They're still going to be killing. Killing is just part of human beings. Human fight for resources. Human fight for these things. And if someone is stopping them from getting that, they will do whatever it takes to get it. It's an old thing. It's an old trick. Even the God in the Bible we send other people to go take other people's land. The God now in the Bible, Mr. Trump, we send people. Just read Genesis. You'll get what I'm saying. We send people in the Bible telling, go take that place over there, it belongs to you. Destroy everything there. Don't spare anything. It's in there. It's the same thing that happened. That's why I think whoever was in that Bible is the master human being. It's not God. I don't say God, I say Almighty, because I'm a God. You understand? You human beings are God. And Mr. Trump showed the world that he's a God. You understand? Because that's exactly what God would do. Say, I'm sick and tired of you killing my beloved children. So I'm going to come down to earth and destroy you. You see that? You get the message? But that creates more problems. And that's what we're talking about. Africa is a volatile place. Very volatile. Like any little thing can ignite a terrible consequence. I'm not going to say much about Nigeria, but if Nigeria doesn't take it easy and use wisdom by way of the ancestors, it could divide into three. What was about to happen during that Biafra war would suddenly happen. The only sad thing is the innocents, the people who has nothing to do with it. I say Nigeria, Tinubu, you're a disgrace to our continent. Why is that? Because you can handle the affairs of Africa. Why do we have AU? Are they just sitting there doing nothing? AU all of a sudden don't have no saying? That you have to go bring someone from the outside to solve your problem? It's the same thing that happened to the great one, Gaddafi. Gaddafi was warning you guys, stop doing this. Africa can solve their own problem. You don't need someone from outside. Trump don't want anything to do with Africa, to be honest with you. He's just trying to please someone. You understand? But in the process of that can destabilize Africa. We don't want that. Let me tell you, for those of us that live in the diaspora, right? We're sick and tired of people calling us all sort of names. We know how we live in this country. We know what we go through. We know how people refer to us. But we don't allow that to bother us. We know when people talk of our continent, where we're from, to us. Imagine when the dad is disrespected in front of the child, and the child sees that. What do you think the child is going to think of the dad or the mom? That's exactly how we feel. I don't blame people that says they don't want to be African. I don't blame them because, number one, when you talk of Africa, when you talk of Africa, the only thing can come to mind: weak, disunity, disease, war, famine, hunger, poverty. So all of the things that you'll find in hell, that's what is associated with Africa. So anyone in their rightful mind wouldn't want to associate themselves with that. But in spite of all that, there are always a group of people that would align with you when you're down, when you are low. Right now, today, Africa is low. Everyone is, just like my mom used to say, the stone that the master builder rejected shall be the cornerstone of that building. Today, Africa is down. We Africans that live in the diaspora, we know. We understand. We know the reason why we're here. We're not here to take anything from anyone. Me personally, I'm not here. No one can even make that case to me, because everything that I have in this country, I work for it. No government can tell me they took care of me. I remember the first time I came here. In less than a week, we're told to work. We're told you had to go to work. The money that was given to her was less than $500 to buy clothes. My grandma, it wasn't even enough. You understand? So no one can tell me personally, I'm not speaking for others, that you took care of me, you fed me, you pay my rent, you pay my, you didn't do nothing for me. I had to work for everything that I have. And I think it's good because it gives me pride. It makes me feel that I've achieved myself. I'm not going to say the American dream, but I'm heading there. You understand? But yeah, that's how we feel. We feel, I'm not speaking for those who don't see themselves as African. No, I'm not speaking for you. I'm speaking for those enlightened ones that know who they are, know their origin, know where they're from. And those people who don't see themselves yet as African, we hold nothing against you. Guess what? No one on the continent of Africa has ever gone to any part of this world and enslaved anyone, took anything from anyone, maltreat anyone. You will look through all of the history books, whatever is out there. In any research that you do, you will not find anything. Yes, Africa did have some issues that, like I told you, in life, this is human nature. Human beings fight for resource. What are these resources? Land, water, air, and sea. Ocean. These 4 things, human has always fought for them since time. That has to do with the human existence. So Africa is not exempted from that. But yeah, Africa has never gone across that Atlantic Ocean, whether it's the Atlantic, the Pacific, whatever ocean, to harm or do anything to anyone. So we know one day, the spirit of our ancestors will rise up and it will quickens whatever is in you, because I personally believe that I would probably do a video on this to explain, because I did a video in the past on this, but I'm going to sit and explain when people die, where they go. So you can, because Moses, they said he wrote the portion of the Old Testament, or maybe the Old Testament. Moses understood this because Moses was an African. He was a black man. Don't let them tell you that fake story in the Exodus crap. Because if you go to Egypt right now, you try to ask the Egyptian, the ones that are there now, they couldn't even find anything on that story that ever existed, not in any Egyptian folklore or written historical facts, anything. But no one has been able to challenge that because the world is already designed that way. You understand? But yeah, Africa has never done anything, no harm to no one. In fact, it was the opposite. So I know one day, I believe that with all my heart, we are the trash. Everyone call us every name, including the president. There are a lot of Africans in this country voted for. Call an entire continent hellhole. Call an entire continent and people stink. Yes, this is what I talk of. Until that continent is respected, you will never. You can work for his campaign. You can do whatever you want for him. They still call you trash. You don't do that to no one. You know, the Roman Empire used to be very powerful. They fell. They fell because of their decisions that they made. They made bad decisions. America is not going to fall from that. But there'll come a time when it's not going to be relevant. It's not going to be relevant in terms of decision making, if it's not already is. Just like how Europe is today. Europe is sidelined. You know, when people are gathering together to make world decisions, the majority of the world, they don't listen to them. Am I saying that it can be fixed? It can be fixed. Because in life, everybody make mistakes. You know, Mr. Trump, everybody voted for Mr. Trump, but Mr. Trump is as powerful as 4 years. Whatever policy he's doing now, whatever policies he's implementing now, whether it was the ones that the people voted for, or the ones that the people didn't vote for, it's only 4 years. After 4 years, this is why I always say America is great. They'll remove that dude. He goes sit somewhere, just like the rest of them. If you hear him talk, maybe you're just going to be talking to a small group of people somewhere. It's not going to be relevant. As far as your life is concerned, another political party is going to take over. So whatever his action was, that action, what he did on Christmas Day, is going to live for a long time. It's going to live beyond his presidency. And that's why I think it was wrong. But again, those idiots, the old folks, the elite in Africa, they sat down and allowed that to happen. Nigeria is capable enough. During the Biafra War, Nigeria fought that war by themselves. You understand? Their story is almost lacking to the story of this country. The country was about to fall apart, and one man stood up and said, we're not going to allow that. But these sort of actions now, done by an outsider that says terrible things about Nigerians, that says terrible things about the people of Africa, that have no respect for us. No respect for us. Is that individual you're going to allow to come into your country? doesn't have no respect for you, Tinubu. You could acquire and work with ECOWAS. And that's why I think the problem in Nigeria, some of you know about them, and you're not willing to solve it. Would you just allow your brothers and sisters to be on life every day? And now you call African American, you call what they call it, Black American, you call people from the Caribbean, South America to come to Africa. What kind of protection will you offer them? What kind? Do you think they're just gonna get up and go to Nigeria, Ghana, or other place when they know the continent is not safe and secure? That's why I'm completely against the whole idea of Black Americans leaving this country and going to Africa. I'm against that, but not against it in a bad way. I'm against it in the sense that there are unsolved problems between us here in the diaspora that we even haven't even discussed or even touched yet. So, example, if you and your friend, your neighbor, you don't ever talk to them, you don't try to know them, you don't try to associate with them, you don't try to ask them to know why they don't talk to you, you never reach out to them. You understand? Reach out to them as a group or as a people. Not like someone in your neighborhood, hey, what's up? Not that. And then you come to them and say, let's go to Africa. And some of these things has to be shown here. And that's why I think those of us that live in the diaspora, we have more sway on the continent than most of us want to believe. Whatever thing we do here will set a precedent in Africa. If we can unite, we can start to engage our Black brothers and sisters in this country. Those on the continent will see that. And they're going to see this huge change happening. And that change will also come with legislation on the mother's land so that they can protect these people when they go back home. All that stuff happening in Ghana with all these people going back home. I know, because I'm a seer. I see these things. Give it 10 years or 15 years or 20 years and see if that won't create problem. You always think about these things because you have two different cultures. So until we solve our problems here, don't be telling no one. Don't tell anyone to go to Africa to settle there because you have these underlying problems here. Now, most of you don't know all of these things that are happening with the Somalians. Now I see with Nicki Minaj. Understand Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is from the Caribbean. If you don't know, she has a tie to the Caribbean. So for some reason, you guys are not seeing what's happening. We just got through dividing the African and the Blacks, Americans. Now we're starting with the Caribbean now. Everyone is going down hard on her, forgetting that she has the right to choose. It's the decisions that we all make in life. Whatever we want to do with our life. I'm of that opinion. Look, whatever you want to do with your life, do it, man. Whatever you want to be, do it. That's the kind of attitude I have, man. Like, I just feel leave people alone. Leave them alone. Whatever they want to do with their life, so be it. No one say, I have an alliance with you. I have a tie with you. Like that group that call themselves FBA. They have the right to be whatever they want to be. They have the right to think whatever they want to think. That's how I see it. No one owes you anything. And that's why these same individuals should never say the white man owes them anything. White men don't owe you anything. The only thing you owe is you owing yourself. And you getting up and saying, this is what I want to be. Just like how someone get up and say, I want to be this, I want to be that. I support whatever you want to be, man. whatever you want to be. The only thing I say, whatever you're doing, it shouldn't have effect on me. That's all I've always said. As long you're doing your thing, it's fine with you, I'm okay. That's my own attitude. That's how I see the world. Yeah, but we have to start to see that these people, they're elements of our world that are just out there. They are nothing but confusion. They are waiting to see any little bit of feuding, any little bit of situation, and they will add flame and fire to it. And these are the individuals that are causing the problem in our world. And these are the ones that you have to open your eyes to, because they would take that little situation and they will flame it and turn it into a bigger narrative. And now you're fighting each other step by step without even knowing it. Like what's happening in Nigeria today. Why don't we want war in Nigeria? Because if there's war in Nigeria, that entire West Africa can be easily destabilized. Look, the population in Nigeria is over almost 200 and something million people. That's maybe half of America right there. Or maybe, if not half of America, maybe a little more than half of America right there in Nigeria. Imagine all those people start to run across Africa because of instability or war in the country. Imagine what that would do to the continent of Africa. Although I'm saying West Africa, but can impact the whole continent. So that's why we're pleading to all these outside people. Stay out of the affairs of Africa. Right now, all Africa needs to do is wake up. It's wake up. Nobody outside of the continent who was not born there or has no link to the continent have any right to intervene or to grab anything in that continent. We are poor, we are destitute, we are dirty, we stink, we are hellhole. Leave us, let's live that way. I know one day when we tired of living in filth, when we're tired of living in the life of a destitute or impoverished or in a slum or in garbage or in hellhole, maybe that day, or when we sat down one day and discovered that the world has left us behind, maybe we'll find a way to figure out this. Again, it's your home. You don't open it to no stranger. Your job is to protect whoever live in your home. And the African leaders are not doing it. They don't need no one to call, no savior from wherever to come. Because now that just created a whole Pandora box that we don't even know what's in there. You ask these people that are saying killing, who is supplying those people you call terrorists? Who is supplying them with arms? The last time I checked, Africans don't. And I know that there are a few countries in Africa that do manufacture arms, but for the most part, they don't. So where are those arms coming from? It's a question. Who is supplying them the money, the logistics, and all the things that they need to carry on their atrocities? These are the questions they should be asking. But no, they're not going to ask that question. But again, the Africans has opened the door. So when you open your door, someone would come in there and do your wife, do your children, and you won't be able to say nothing. Because at that moment, they've already subdued you. You're weak. You're feckless. And now all you can do is language in your downfall. But I know and hopeful that the youth of Africa will rise when the old ones are stuck in stupidity and garbage and greed and hypocrisy, lies, and all the things that are putting the people back in the continent of Africa. You know, we know that day will come. And if I may say, that day is now. It is today, it is tomorrow, and it's sooner than we think. As I've always say on my videos, the greatest thing that could ever happen to anyone, it's not the day you were born, not the day you had your first child, the day you graduated from high school, college, the day you became a lawyer, doctor, whatever it is that you're working on in life. The greatest thing, my friend, that could ever happen to you is the day you discover yourself. Because from that day on, you will get up. You will pick up the pieces. You will say, from now on, I will be the man or the woman that I want to be. I will pull up myself. I will do those things that will enhance my life. If I'm not taking care of my family or my home, I will do that. I will be firm. I will be counted among the living. I will do those things that others are doing, and I will do it even better than them. Because at the end of the day, as they say, organized religion, that all men are created by the Creator. And in the eyes of God, we're all the same. But in reality, it's not so. So again, I just want to thank all these people that continue to watch my video, to subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you and your family. I hope that life is treating you well. I hope you continue to seek for wisdom. I hope that you continue to be the best that you can be in life, in spite of your circumstances. Don't ever allow your circumstances to determine your future or to determine your character. Your character must always remain firm. And that, my friend, will give you the respect that you desire. Long time ago, China used to be laughed at, talked down on. It used to be a country of bicycles. I remember as a child. Long time ago, I remember when the Soviet Union fell. I remember. I've seen images on the news when I was a little boy. People standing in line for food. Soup kitchens, I saw that. Ration, I saw it. But today, they changed the narrative. This country was the same too. During the Great Depression, people were in line, but someone came and changed the narrative. Africa, you can change the narrative. You just have to have a different mindset. And if you open your door and someone comes in and asks you to come in, and you say no, they'll turn right back and go to wherever they're from. But when you open the door and you allow them to seduce you, when they come in, there's no way, my friends, you can blame them. And until you see that, you will never, ever, ever, never get to wherever you want to get. You have to wake up, wise up, and allow the ancestors to guide you and your path. Thank you, and have a blessed and wonderful day.